Bring your cup and take a seat. Fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for. A good pour.
Welcome back to A Good Pour. I'm Kathryn Good, your host. Today we have another episode, our final episode on with our interns. And so today we have Caleb Good, who, if you can tell by the last name, is my child. And he is a senior at Station Camp. So welcome, Caleb.
Thank you.
Tell us why you wanted to be an intern.
I wanted to be an intern because it's it's your business. So I wanted to learn a lot about it. Marketing has been something I've always done throughout high school. And I really just wanted to learn at a deeper level if it's really what I wanted to do. And I think being an intern has really helped with that.
Okay. And you got to pick your special project. And so you picked Trousdale Place. It was your number one pick. Why did you want to work with Trousdale Place?
I picked Trousdale Place because I've always been a big history guy throughout high school. And it really stuck out to me just because of its story and how it's there was a deeper meaning of the house, and I really wanted it really hit me how I wanted to help that out. And it also just being throughout my life I've been to a lot of historical houses, so me being able to provide for one really stuck out to me.
Provide a marketing plan or something for one. So it's more than high school. I don't know if you remember when you were in 5th grade, you got the history award.
Yeah.
Do you remember what Miss Mary Segan said?
She was he could teach the class if I wasn't there.
In 5th grade. So yes, it doesn't surprise me that you wanted the history project. Well, Sue, you are the director. What is your official title?
Well, I'm a volunteer, so my official title is volunteer, but I volunteer as a board member, and as a volunteer, I serve as the executive director. I help with marketing, do a little bit of everything, even vacuuming and dusting. But my official title is volunteer, and I'm the volunteer chair of Trousdale Place Foundation, Inc., the 501c3 nonprofit that currently owns and operates Trousdale Place.
So tell us about Trousdale Place.
It is a very interesting house, and I've liked historic houses my entire life. I was born and raised near Williamsburg, Jamestown, Yorktown. I'm not a history major. I was a banker by trade, but I've always been fascinated by history. And Trousdale Place just once I saw it the first time, I thought, this is an interesting place. It has a deeper story. It needs help. I want to be involved with it and learn more about it. Just, here's a house and people drive by it every day. And I hear people saying, I drive by that house every day, but I've never been inside. Oh, you mean that place in front of Best Donuts? And I thought to myself, there's got to be more to the story than that. The man that purchased this house was Tennessee's 13th governor. He was also a veteran. His father was a veteran of the American Revolution, and he was chosen by President Franklin Pierce to be our ambassador to Brazil. So it's got to be a big story there. But not only that, after it was a family home, I found out it served lots of purposes for people that lived in Gallatin and Sumner County. So that it just kind of drew me in, and I've been there ever since. And the more I'm there, the more I learn. We had someone drop off a document the other day, a copy of a document. Let me say copy of the document. I'd never seen Captain James Trousdale's signature. Now, that's William Trousdale's father. He's a patriot of the American Revolution, Captain James is. And what was dropped off for us to have and for us to show people is the deed that transfers the property from part of James Trousdale's land grant property, part of his farmstead, if you will, to the alderman that started the city of Gallatin so that the city of Gallatin could be the county seat of Sumner County.
So who dropped that off? How do you find stuff like that after all this time?
It's interesting about Trousdale Place because you never know what someone may bring to you or call you about. And we have a volunteer that recently started volunteering with us. She's very dedicated. Her name is Barbara. She's learned a lot about the house, and she came for a little meeting we had, and she says, my sister had this hanging in her house and decided that it probably needed to be here. And so I said, oh, okay, what is it? And I look at it, and it is a copy of the original transfer of property from Captain James Trousdale to the city of Gallatin.
It just makes you wonder what we have in our homes that especially these older homes that have been here forever, and there's just stuff in the attic. Like, what do we have that is just, historical, right?
Right.
So you probably came up to me at a Gallatin Chamber meeting 3 years, pretty quick after I started the business, and you were like, I need help. And every time I saw you, you were like, I need help. And so it was fun for you to apply, and then knowing that Kayla would probably pick it because it was history. So, but why have you said, I need your help for several years now? And then why did you apply to be a good project?
Well, long story short, your mom and dad were one of the first couples that my husband and I met when we moved to Gallatin in 2017, and we have a lot in common. Daughters of the American Revolution, and both of us are married to veterans, and I got to know you all, and I remember the day your mom, we were talking, and she said, guess what Kathryn's going to do? And so, I was following it all along, working with Trousdale Place, and every time I'd see you, I'd go, I need help, because we do. And we did. And then finally, in late 2023, early 2024, I finally said to the board, we need to rebrand. Our sign that had been there since 1976 had been destroyed in a storm. I said, we need to rebrand. We need to tell the story. There's more here than meets the eye. And so we did. We have a new sign. We have a new signature color that is more about the grassroots nature of the whole project. And that started it off. And then when I saw, because I follow Good Circle Marketing, and I get your newsletter and read it every time it comes out. And when I saw that, I said, here's my opportunity. And so I just put it in there, and I said, okay, this is the next step we need. We have a new color. We want to tell all of the stories about this house, when it was a family home, when it served the city of Gallatin as the first lending library, and other things. And it's the people's house. I was reminded by Mount Vernon in something that they sent me not too long ago that said, Mount Vernon is the people's house. Mm. And I thought, okay, Trousdale Place is the people's house. It was, a governor was here, an ambassador was here, a veteran lived here. It's the people's house. So we need to figure out how to tell the people's story of that house better. So here we are.
Caleb, what have you learned either about marketing or your mom or Trousdale Place, or a little bit of, what have you learned?
I definitely learned a lot about AI. Like, there was so much I didn't know before. Like, I didn't know how useful it can be, especially in the marketing world. I also learned a lot about what you do. It the whole process of what you do day to day. That was really it was really cool to learn, and the whole process from meeting Sue to where I am now was just very interesting to learn.
The marketing strategy part. How about specifically about Trousdale?
I didn't know anything about Trousdale going into it, and now learning that there's this whole story within each room. It was so cool to know that in just that one building there was so much history.
Yeah, you talked a lot about, and we did the tour together. Sue took us around each house. I'd actually been there before. I went there with Leadership Sumner, I believe.
Yes.
Every little piece, like the furniture, the decor, the paintings, it seems like everything has a story to be told, right? And of different people, of different times. I think it's so interesting how when you walk into some of these historic homes in Sumner County, that the names are, you hear the same names over and over again because they were a community of people, right? That
exactly.
All into Nashville and Franklin, right? That they're just the same names that you hear over and over again. And it just makes you want to learn more and read some book about, all of these people. And so it's been neat to watch kind of you go through it, Caleb, but also Sue, to actually hear the stories after you've been saying I need help for so long. So we are in the Good Story Studio that is launching at the Gallatin Chamber. It is a studio that we're going to hope to do between videos and podcasts and just sitting down and having a Zoom call if you need to, but it's a studio to where we tell good stories. Caleb, that through this process that I say we do marketing really well when we can be top of mind, when we can be top of search, and we tell our stories. And so part of Sue, what you'll get is Caleb's recommendations to do those three things. But I want to just talk about the stories you feel like that should be told a little bit. Like, what comes to mind? What are your top couple stories that you wish people knew about Trousdale Place? I'd like to hear from both of you. I'll just say to open that it is a place that we drive by all the time. It's kind of like when you turn off to come to the square in Gallatin, which is growing, and just there's more and more people down here. But on the right is across from Best Donuts is Trousdale Place. It has this yard out front that just is kind of like begging to be in it. And what is this? And so to know what has gone on there is really interesting. And it feels like it's just a part of Gallatin. So we'll start with you. What do you wish people knew?
Well, one thing that, of note to me, and, there were a lot of people on the square for Fall Fest. That's one of my favorite times. Trousdale Place, as long as I'm involved with it, will be open whenever there's, the festival twice a year on, historic downtown Gallatin. So people can have a little bit of history along with all of the other wonderful things that happen and go on that day. But in October, when I was there, it was not quite as many people as the year before. But interestingly enough, I had the opportunity to talk to a couple who, the gentleman came here from Brazil. So he's Brazilian. So I had the opportunity to talk to him about the fact that William Trousdale was the ambassador to Brazil. And I was able to show him the bona fides from President Franklin Pierce that gave William Trousdale the right to be in Brazil as our ambassador. So, it's those little things that you don't know that are going to pop up when you're there and you're talking about the house. But I also talked to a couple from Hong Kong and a couple from Australia, and the opportunity to explain to them what it was like living in a household in, say, the late 1840s when William Trousdale was the governor, which is what you walk into when you come visit us at Trousdale Place, that yes, it's a 4-room house and the kitchen was detached. So you have 2 rooms down for living and dining, and you have 2 rooms up for sleeping space. But it was very unique to them because they did not realize that in that point in time, families were not only multi-generational, but you had couples sharing the same bedroom and children shared the same bedroom. And so, it's those stories. It's, remember, this man came here as a child with his patriot father and mother and brothers and sisters, and he had quite a few, and they settled in Gallatin. And he was a lawyer by trade, but he was a patriotic man just like his father. He sent his sons to the Confederacy, and we do have a genealogy book of the Trousdale family if anybody is trying to find their Trousdale roots. And as I read through that and go back and forth and do my research, I realize that the Trousdale family, that I have not found a generation yet that does not have a veteran. In fact, the genealogy book was written by a Trousdale who is an Air Force veteran. So there's always a good story there. Why are there finger bowls on the table? What are the celery holders on the sideboard? No, they're not wine glasses. They're celery holders. And why are there no salt shakers? So there's a lot of things to learn, a lot of things history-wise, but we want to make it more like a living history experience. So you're not getting a history lecture. We're going to tell you a story of somebody and how they had dinner, or, or how they, what they did. They entertained on the front lawn, those type things.
You bring up a good point with the, like the bedrooms. Like if you walked into what you thought was a master bedroom and you saw 2 beds without knowing that story, like you could create, like, what is going on here? Right.
It's like, why? And, and then people always give me that look, like when I say, well, we probably don't have enough beds. Because, that's just the way they lived. Their views were different than ours. The way they lived, it was quite differently the way we do.
Yeah.
Young people find it very interesting that there's no TV. There's no, for entertainment. You read books,
right.
You play charades. We have a beautiful rosewood piano. They played the violin. It was a musical family. They told stories. They read books.
Yeah.
All of those things, and yes, we do have Wi-Fi now, but they didn't then. But it's just come in, learn the stories, be with a governor for a little bit and learn about what, how that operated. And that his wife wrote him when he was the ambassador to Brazil and said, can you please not spend so much this month because I need some extra money to re-wallpaper the parlor. So they're real people, they're real stories, and they belong to Gallatin, and we want to tell them.
Love it. Caleb, why do you feel like history's kind of stood out to you over the years?
It's like hard to explain. Like, it's just always been my best subject, and I've always found it so interesting. Like, I don't know. I've always found it like so easy to learn, like not easy to learn, but like so interesting to learn, and everything always just stuck with me throughout the years.
Yeah, your memory about history things is pretty good. I do think there's a story part of that you just like hearing the stories. And when we've talked about this project, it feels like, the story. You learn several things about the family, but it was through, the things in the house, or the way that the architecture was in the room, or, the breezeway is open, but it's the house is positioned so that the air would come through in a certain way. Right. So,
right.
And I just think that's neat that the history part has stood out, and it really is, it's storytelling. It's the things that you hear and stick with you. So, well, thank you both for being here. Sue, I just would been closing these podcasts with, is there any advice you would give Caleb as he is getting ready to start his college career and figure out what he wants to do with the rest of his life? What advice would you give Caleb?
Well, first I would say, I'm happy that history is a passion of yours. It's important. It's important for a lot of reasons. I followed my spouse around for quite some time, and I always delved into the history of the area because I felt like what kept me grounded, even though my house, my address, and everything changed so frequently, I could be grounded in my own personal family history and in the history of where we were. So stay grounded in your history. Learn your family history. Don't be afraid to reach out and try new things. If you have an opportunity to go and experience something, do it. Just be yourself, be true to yourself, stand up for what you believe in, and reach for the moon and the stars. You have the ability to be there.
Love that. Thank you. Well, thank you for applying. I hope that you will get some help after asking me for several years.
I'm excited. I am sure. From my marketing class way back when to what you learned in marketing to what Caleb is learning in marketing and what he can do now in access that I couldn't then. Good things are going to happen.
Yeah, I'm excited for you it's been super cool to have you do this and be a part of the internship program. And it's going to be weird to not have a child. I mean, maybe Claire will do it in 2 years, but this time next year I won't have an actual child as an intern. So, but it's been a really cool experience for me. I hope you've learned some things, and I'll remember it forever. So thanks for doing it.
I loved it.
Well, thank you both for being here, and see y'all soon.
You betcha.